G'day, it's Jim Chalmers here, the Treasurer, here to answer your questions.
I'm Leanna Calderon and we're uni students and we want to know, Treasurer, what are you doing to help uni students with their HECS debt?
Well, a big focus of the budget is helping people with student debt. We know that last year in particular was particularly rough on students, the way that the HECS debt was calculated. And so we've wiped around $3 billion of student debt. On average, that means about $1,200 less debt for yourselves and anyone who was accumulating that debt last year. And so we're going to calculate it differently, and we're going to backdate that change to last year so that you don't have to pay for that big spike in the calculation we saw then.
So my name is Murray, and my question to Jim Chalmers is, what are the factors that makes your prediction of inflation by year end different from several other economists?
Yeah, good on you, Murray. Good question again. The main difference between the Treasury forecasts in the budget and some of the other forecasts you would have seen before then is the Treasury forecast can take the budget into consideration. And if you follow it closely, and it sounds like you do, you'd know that some of the big, most important elements of the budget are around pushing inflation down, getting on top of these cost of living pressures. And so the Treasury forecasts take that into consideration. Some of the earlier forecasts that you would have seen reported in the media, they're unable to do that.
Rebecca Dunk, suburb is Rochedale South, and I would love to know how you're going to help with the cost of living and grocery prices.
Well, Rebecca, I've got the great privilege of being your local member, and I went to school in Rochedale South when I was a little tacker. I grew up in your suburb as well for part of my childhood, so I know Rochedale South really well, and I'm very grateful for your question because it goes to really probably the most important priority in the budget, which is helping people with the cost of living. We know that people are under the pump. You know that in our part of the world, and people know it right around Australia. People are under pressure. And we're doing what we can to ease that pressure in a substantial way, but also in a responsible way. So there's a tax cut for every taxpayer. There's energy bill relief for every household. There's rent assistance increases if you're on rent assistance. There's cheaper medicines. And we're also doing what we can to get a fairer go for you at the supermarket. And so all of these things together are about recognising the pressure that you're under, but more than recognising it and acknowledging it, actually trying to do something about it. And that was a big focus of the budget.
Hi, my name is Sarah Higgins. I'm from Lockleys, and my question is, how are you going to address the housing crisis, especially for young people who are entering the housing market for the first time?
Well, thanks, Sarah, for your question about housing. You know, this is a really important focus of the budget last night. You would have read a lot about our cost of living help. You would have read probably a lot about our plans for a future made in Australia and renewable energy. But just as important in the budget were $6 billion in new investment in building more homes for Australians so that we can make it easier to build and rent and buy. The country doesn't have enough homes. You'd know that in Adelaide, and people would know that right around Australia. We need to build much more. And the housing pipeline, the construction pipeline, is not very good right now. So we need to turn that around. The Commonwealth Government and in our budget, we are prepared to do our bit, and we need the states and territories to do their bit as well, and I'm confident that they will. We need to train more builders and construction workers too. But we can build heaps more homes. We can't do it overnight, but over the course of the next 5 years, we've got a pretty ambitious target to build 1.2 million homes, which is achievable if we all do our bit. And one of the big motivations for that is the fact that young people in particular are finding it hard to find affordable housing, whether it's rental properties or to get a toehold in the housing market. We know that, and we're doing what we can to address it.
Linda Weatherson, Treasurer Jim Chalmers, wondering what you are going to do to assist and incentivise early childhood educators and teachers to bring them up to what they deserve to impact on the ever important children of our nation.
Oh, absolutely terrific question, Linda. You know, we've got a big commitment to early childhood educators in our communities. That's why we've invested billions of dollars in cheaper childcare. That's why we provisioned in last night's budget more money for better wages for early educators. We know that they are underpaid. There's a decision about to be made by the Fair Work Commission, and we've said that we will provide some money towards that better wages outcome that we hope to see out of that process. And the other really important thing is when it comes to the tax cuts that were in the budget last night. So every Australian taxpayer gets a tax cut, but for early educators, people on low and middle incomes and women, they'll be much better off than they were going to be under the old tax arrangements from our predecessors. So early educators are frankly one of the reasons why we made the tax cuts better and bigger for people on low and middle incomes, because you want to support the absolutely terrific work that you do. I know in our own family circumstances how wonderful early childhood educators are, and we want to support your really important work. Well, thanks very much for your questions, and hopefully we can do it again soon.